Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. Today we are going to have some fun playing with the One Horse Open Sleigh Designer Series paper and making a bookbinding card. It's a super simple card, but you can make some really beautiful cards with it. So I'm going to take a moment to turn the camera down and show you all the fun products we're going to use today, and we'll get started. Thanks for joining me today. So here are the products we're going to be using to make this beautiful card today. We have the black and white checked ribbon. Stampin' Up! Does such a good job at matching up ribbon. I know that's black and white, but all of their ribbon is so beautiful. We're going to be using some cherry cobbler ink, the Brightest Glow cling set stamps, which has pretty much anything you'd want for your holiday card greetings. We have a sheet of Designer Series paper from the One Horse Open Sleigh, and I've paired that with Cherry Cobbler, Basic Black, Whisper White, and oh my gosh, look at this paper. This paper is so pretty. It is, looking for my pack because I didn't grab it ahead of time. This is the silver and gold adhesive back glimmer paper. So if you didn't think it was so beautiful enough, it's also adhesive back, so you can peel the backing off and stick it right onto your project. So we're going to use a little piece of that today. And then I'm just using one stamp. So it's pretty simple card. It doesn't have a ton of products, but it is going to pack a beautiful punch when it's all finished. So let me pull in my chair a little bit and we're going to get started. I have been stamping so much that I've got way too much stuff around me. And as I've mentioned in the past, I do have a very small stamping space in my RV. I make it work, but it gets a little crazy in here sometimes. So we are going to start out with Cherry Cobbler. We're going to make a card base that's 4 1/4 by 11. So 4 1/4. And of course our sheet is 11 inches long. And then we're going to pull this handy dandy arm out and we're going to score it at 5 1/2 inches and 6 3/4 inches. So 5 1/2 and 6 3/4. And that is going to create our bookbinding fold just like that. So I'm going to set that aside. We'll burnish that with the bone folder in just a moment. We're going to go ahead and cut our layers. So we're going to use Basic Black and we're going to cut a 4x4 piece. And then we're also going to do a 1x4. So this is already 4x4, so I'm just going to cut it at my 1-inch line over here. And of course, all of these cutting dimensions will be on my blog. So we're going to set that aside and we're going to grab our Whisper White and we're going to cut a 4x4 piece. This will go on the inside of the card. I actually have some scrap here, so let's see if that will work. I think it will. So 4x4. Now you could also make this 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 and then layer another color behind it that's 4x4, but this is going to be pretty just the way it is. So 4x4, and then we are going to start cutting our Designer Series paper. Now I chose to use this design and I want the focal point to be these little houses in the middle. So I know that I'm going to want a 3/4 inch wide piece for the side panel. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a 3/4 inch piece so that that is out of the way. Actually, I'm going to do it. You have to kind of manipulate how you want your, when you're using scenery, how you want your scene. So I think I'm going to do the cutting this way first. So ultimately, we want a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch square. So I'm going to cut some off the bottom because I know we don't need all of this. I'm going to try cutting it about right here. And then I'm going to see where our 3 1/4 inch falls. That's actually pretty good. So there's our 3 3 3/4 inch height. So now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and I know I want a 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 designer series paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this left edge off. And that's going to be used on the left side of my card, and that'll make sense in a moment. And then I want 3 3/4. Okay, so this will be our center focal point. So when we're putting our card together, it will make a lot of sense. But this is going to be on the front. This piece will go on the left side. And I think this is too long. Yep. Forgot to cut it the 3 3/4. Okay. So this will go right here. All right. And I still don't have that right. Bear with me. Let me grab my black here. So this needs to be 1 by 4. That's what I did wrong. I'm reading my directions, and I didn't write so neatly today, so I have a lot of scribble to look at. All right, there we go. When you cut it right, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so then the last thing we need is to cut our banners for the bottom. So I went ahead and created this greeting that says Season's Greetings. I embossed it in white embossing powder. And then you'll want a strip to go behind it. So this piece needs to be 5/8 by 3 1/2. And then you want a 1 inch by 3 3/4 inch tag. So this is 1 inch, and then we're going to cut it 3 3/4 inches. I love this paper. It's so pretty. All right. And of course, remember, this is adhesive back. So we can peel the little back layer off and stick it right to our paper. Or you could just use glue if you want. Totally works. All right, so those are all of our pieces. So we have our 4 1/4 by 11 scored at 5 1/2 and 6 3/4. Go ahead and give that a good crease. And so when you fold that, it creates that book binding. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some liquid glue, and I'm just going to put a little stream here in between our 2 score lines. And press that down. And there's our book binding. So that piece is done. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the piece of black cardstock. And I'm just using my Stampin' Seal. It's getting very empty. You know how I always run out of Stampin' Seal while I'm doing a video. I don't know why that always happens. Okay. So then we're just going to center this. And then it's going to go on the front of our card right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more Stampin' Seal. And we're just doing the same thing. So pretty. All right, and now we have these pieces that are going to go over here. And so that's the reason why I cut the top and the bottom of the paper to get it to that 3 3/4 size. So then when I went and sliced the left, everything lines up. So we've got a fence here that lines up with a fence here. So that was kind of my little trick to make that scenery paper work. Of course, you don't have to do it that way if you don't have scenery, but that makes it an easy way to make sure your images on your scenery all line up together. All right. There we go. So then this is going to layer here. So pretty. All right, and before we put this on the cardstock, we're going to go ahead and make a faux bow. So what I like to do is, because I'm going to wrap a little bit of this behind, is I just kind of lay it there and then get my scissors and cut my ribbon just so I know how much to cut. And we're just going to put some adhesive back here. And then I'm going to lay my ribbon back down and just kind of put it right in the middle. Once I get that one where I want it, I'll just bend it over, let the glue do the work, and do the same thing over here. And then I just kind of flip it over and make sure it looks even. It does. And then I like to go ahead and add another little bit of adhesive right over the ribbon. I don't want my ribbon moving. And now we're just going to layer it, and I'm lining the edges up right here. So we're going to layer this right on our cardstock base. There we go. So now you need about, I'd say about 3 inches, depending on how good you are at tying a knot. It's probably about right. And then all I do is just tie a simple little knot. I really stink at tying bows, so I like to do it this way. It looks pretty and it's not a bow, so I don't have to get frustrated with it. My hands are a little sticky. I've been using a lot of glue today. I need to wash my hands. There we go. So that's all it takes, is just a little. You know what I did? I just noticed. Put that upside down. I'm going to add a little more adhesive. Good thing we didn't use Stamp and Seal Plus. I would have never been able to take that off. Just noticed that it was upside down. Wonder how many of you noticed that. Fixed. Thankfully, we fixed it. Okay. I noticed that my fence wasn't down there. All right, so look how pretty that is already. So now we want to add our panel up here. So we don't have to do anything with it. We're going to place it so it goes to the edge of the black. Now this can be tricky to get this paper off the back. So I'm going to try it with my fingernail. If that doesn't work, probably the handy dandy take your pick tool is the next thing to do. I swear this thing can do everything. There we go. So you just peel that off. So I love that you don't even have to worry about adhesive on this. And then we're just going to place it there, make sure our edges are even. Just like that. And it sticks really, really well. And so remember, I already created this greeting. So what I'm going to do is, it's a little long. I'm going to cut it a little bit. So I'm going to cut the middle. I'm going to cut a little bit of the middle right there, and then I'm just going to create my tail. Whoop, hold on to it. And I'm just cutting up to that line. Just like that. So it's a simple way to make your little tag tail. All right, so it's going to go right here. So I'm going to grab my dimensionals and my handy dandy take your pick tool again and put some dimensionals on this, and these big ones fit perfectly. I like to go end to end and then fill in the middle just so I know how to space them out. It also helps me decide if I need 3 or if I need 4. I'm going to take these backs off. And then we're going to Just lay this down. Just like that. Look how pretty that is. It's so pretty. It doesn't need anything else. You could add some embellishments if you wanted, but sometimes simple is just all you need. So now we need to do our greeting for the middle. And so I've grabbed this greeting that says, "May the peace of the season light your world, and may your new year be the brightest." I really liked that saying. And I've grabbed cherry cobbler. So we're going to stamp in that, and that way we can keep all of our colors working. Look at this paper. I need to switch out my paper. This would also be really pretty embossed if you wanted to get out your embossing tools. I'm going to pull this down for a second because I usually don't get this straight. All right, that's not bad. If I did it without pulling it down, I can guarantee you it would have been very crooked. I'm going to clean this off and close this up. All right. And then we're going to just put some adhesive on the back. This would make a great Christmas card design because you can cut all of your pieces ahead of time and finish your cards pretty quick that way. I like a card that works out that way. So now I'm just going to pop this in here in the middle. Like that. And there we go. Look how pretty it is. It only took us a few minutes, and it's got a little sparkle. It's festive. It's so pretty. I did try to emboss this in gold, but it doesn't pop out on the black. So white is going to be the best bet for embossing on that, unless you change it to a lighter color paper. So pretty. I love this card. I want to show you. Whoops, I just bumped my camera. Sorry about that. You probably thought there was an earthquake happening here. So here's another one I made. The same family, the same pack of cardstock. I used the little deer, which the little deer can be hard to use because he's in the middle of the paper. So I did the same thing. I cut my paper out so that it worked out with the little deer in the middle, and his ears are petal pink, so I pulled in petal pink and early espresso, and then I added some of these new loose silver sequins. So I just put a dot of glue wherever I wanted to place these sequins and used the putty end of my take your pick tool and just popped them on there, and it kind of looks like snow. It's super pretty. It has set season's greetings and the same exact sentiment, and then I used some dark brown ribbon that I had. I think it's retired. So there's that card. And then the third card I used the Winter Meadow Designer Series paper. Even though it's considered Christmas paper, it really could be used any time of the year. So I made this as a birthday card. I paired it with Moody Mauve and Misty Moonlight paper, which is some of the colors that are in the paper. And this sheet is sort of a background paper. So I just kind of cut the plants out so that I had room in the corner with nothing behind it, so I could go ahead and do my stamping directly on the paper. It's such a pretty pack of paper. And then this is the Night of Navy ribbon, and it just really works well with the Moody Mauve. And then inside it says, "Wishing you the brightest birthday." So I took a Christmas Designer Series paper pack and I created a really pretty birthday card with it. So there's my cards. I hope you like them. The bookbinding fold has been around for a while, but I think that it was worth bringing it out and showing you how you can make some really beautiful cards with it. And they're easy enough to make where if you had to make a lot of cards for an occasion, this is a really great fold because people are going to love it. I'll have all of the cutting dimensions and links to everything on my blog at wanderingstamper.com. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video. They come out on Wednesdays. And give me a like if you like this card. I'm curious to know what you come up with. So feel free to message me. I love messaging my viewers back. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you get a chance to craft today. Thanks for watching.